So another method of separation that I can use is called sieving. And a lot of times in a lab, what you'll have is you'll have a bunch of screens that are set up, and you could put your mixture, maybe like a soil sample or something, in these screens. And what it'll do is it'll shake these out, and the small particles will pass through the screens, and the larger particles will stay up on top if they can't fit through the screens. And so this is based off of differences in volume that we could separate our mixtures out and the substances in our mixture. And so what I have here is I have perlite and sand. And you can see that for the most part the perlite has bigger particles than the sand. It has greater volume. And so if I had these and I was trying to separate out these two, now this one wouldn't be foolproof, but it'd be one way to get started on separating them, because the majority of the perlite is bigger than our sand. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have one screen here, a little hand sieve here, or sifter as a lot of people would call them. I'm just going to pour this in, and what I've got here down below is a little bowl, and so that's where I'm putting this into. And so I'm just dumping all of this stuff in, and now that I've got it in here, I can bring it up. As you can see, I've got my little hand sieve, and I've got my bowl to catch all of those little sand particles, and I just shake and shake and shake them, trying not to let any of the perlite out. And you could really try this with different sized mesh if you had a bunch of different ones. That would work out pretty well. Just gonna be going until I get the majority of it separated out. Again, not perfect, but because of the differences in volume, it's gonna give us a really good start to separate these out and get our perlite out. And so the trick is when you get some of that sand stuck in the middle of the perlite. So I'm just going to take my hand. I'm just shaking it up and down a little bit, like that. Just try to get things moving a little bit. Shake things up, get theirs moving a little bit. So what I think I've got here is not too bad. You look into my, there's maybe a little bit of sand kind of at the bottom, so maybe I'll scrape my hand on the bottom, just try to get that off. But for the most part, because of the differences in the volume, I was pretty much able to separate these out. So that's honestly a really good starting point for separating those. But that's sieving, and again, that would happen with a bunch of different sized screens, and probably a combination of them depending on what mixture you're trying to separate out. Because of the differences in the perlite sand, this works okay for what we're doing and trying to separate our mixture. So that is sieving, and it's based off of the differences in volume between those two substances.